I'm joined by two exciting gentlemen who've got something really neat in store for everyone. Better than neat, really. It's most excellent if you're a Bill and Ted fan from the 90s. Jim Hope and Roger Kincaid from the Club Innovation Conference, which is happening in January. Those dates are January 12th through the 14th. So what we want to do is just take a little time here to talk to these gentlemen, talk about how the birth of this idea came about, what clubs will have in store for them in January, and why you should be thinking about putting that on your education budget as well. As we know, most conferences were all canceled this year. I had 6 or 8 speaking engagements all canceled, which was really sad. And so we've done all these online things to try to stay together, and this is one. These gentlemen are really doing it right. So I wanted to have them on Private Club Radio here for you guys to hear from the horse's mouth what the Club Innovation Conference was all about. So guys, welcome. How you guys doing today?
I'm doing awesome, Gabe. Thanks so much for having us here. It's such a pleasure to be on your program, first of all, and it's a great opportunity for us to spread the word about what the Club Innovation Conference is all about. So thanks for that opportunity.
And you're joining us, Roger, in the Palm Desert, so nice and toasty there. But Jim, you're up in Canada. What part of Canada are you?
I'm up in Edmonton, which would be, I think Santa Claus takes off from the roof of my house is where it is. That's how far north we are. And we had little south of us, they had 50 centimeters of snow last night, which would be in inches. Roger, how many inches are we talking about?
Short of 2 feet.
Short of 2 feet of snow. So yeah, so if you're in a warm climate where Roger is or where you are, Gabe, just stay there. Don't come up here unless you got skis and a toque. Don't stay there.
That's knee height, I think, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my goodness, I remember that from being a kid. I lived up in Massachusetts when I was really small. I just remember one day getting buried under the snow, and I haven't seen that since then. I don't think 2 feet will definitely do it. 50 centimeters. Well, Jim, let me ask you first how the Club Innovation Conference came about. And where this brainchild really formed.
Sure. So I'm a club manager, still am. I manage the Derrick Golf and Winter Club up here in Edmonton, and have been in the club business for 40 years. And I've attended, a number of CMAA conferences and CSCM conferences. And Roger and I started a podcast about 18 months ago, Roger, I guess now, and called the Engaged Club. We publish twice a week for just little 15-minute segments. I do a piece on club management, and Roger does stuff on marketing for clubs. And, we knew that things were different in 2020 for obvious reasons. As you mentioned, Gabe, that most conferences have been canceled, and we saw an opportunity to create a different learning tool for club management for all folks in all areas of the club. And so we thought that this would be a great opportunity to bring a different style of conference to club folks. So Roger and I got together and pulled 3 focus groups together of club leaders in Canada, pitched the idea of the conference and the style of the conference, which we'll get into, and we resounding success from everybody on the in the focus groups. And I am proud to say that everybody who was in our focus group has signed up for the conference as well with their clubs, which is awesome. So I think they really believed in the concept. So we came up with this sort of 50 speakers with 25-minute talks with all areas of club management. And we're just super excited to be launching this on January 12th, 13th, and 14th.
It's exciting for sure. Roger, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I think that something that you said earlier, Gabe, is something I might key on too, is that it's really sad that these conferences have been canceled. A lot of them have gone online, which is great. Some of them have just said, we'll try and do it again in 2021. But for Jim and I, when we were thinking about doing this virtual conference, we didn't have one that got canceled. All we saw was that there's this opportunity to maybe change things in much the same way that a lot of restaurants have, gone to a different sort of delivery model, or that a lot of clubs, Jim's club included, has gone sort of fresh, sort of box meal pickup thing, right? So we looked at it and we said, what if the conference, instead of being for, the general manager to go, fill his or her head with lots of great information, bring it back to the club, what if the whole club could go? And, that concept really works virtually, right? When we can have one ticket and the entire club can get in.
Yes. Yeah, so are you guys seeing that these clubs plan on setting up their boardroom with their managers and board there and staff and whatnot to watch this thing as a club?
Yeah, Jim, I don't know about you, but my answer to that is I don't know, and I can't wait to see, because I know that some clubs are sort of thinking about, given the reins to their directors, right? So their F&B director is going to get the food and beverage team together, and they're going to kind of follow that stream of sessions at the conference. And then, some sort of like turf care, outside services teams, like that will have these sort of different clusters within the club. But what I really hope for anyway is that you'll get these sort of pockets of inspiration within your team. And then on the third day of the conference, the 14th, when all the sessions have been aired, that's when you'll come together and say, here's what I learned over the past few days, and here's what we can do this year as a club.
That's a beautiful thing. Vincent Phipps, honored to have been a speaker at the Canadian Club Conference, and he's saying thank you for all you guys do. So this is a little bit different than the Canadian Club Conference in and of itself. It's sort of its own new brainchild, right?
Yeah, very much so. And, we look at ourselves as complementing the other conferences that are out there, both from CSCM and CMAA, as just as a different vehicle to get to all of those professionals in the club, as Roger said. And we've got one club, it's a beautiful private club up in Toronto, who have got 14 people registered for the conference. Nice. Morning, Kika. How are you? That's Roger's dog, Kika, behind you there, just so you know.
Where I go, she goes.
When I was in the UK, everyone had their dogs on the golf course. I couldn't believe it. Like, they go golfing with their dogs. Do they do that in Canada too?
There's a couple of semi-privates and public clubs that are allowing that to happen. I think it's fantastic. I'm a dog owner as well, and I'd love to be able to take my dog out there. I'm not sure what he would do to the golf course, but I'd love to have him out there.
That's an innovation I'd like to see as well. Yeah.
Yeah. But actually, I had a funny story. I did have my dog on the golf course in the spring. We all, was all hands on deck this spring, and I was helping the turf care do. We were resodding some of the 11th fairway, and I've got an 80-pound black lab who took after about an 80-pound coyote on the golf course. And my dog Scotty was chasing the coyote down the 11th fairway, and then I looked, and the coyote was chasing my dog Scotty back down the 11th fairway towards us. Sorry, Gabe, you asked. You digress.
Back to what you were saying though, Jim. But the amount of people that are signing up. Like, you're right. We've got clubs that have got 14. I think the record right now today, I'm the one who's compiling the lists for all the clubs. The record is 27. So that's going to be a pretty engaged.
Wow. 27 of their staff or members and board and whatnot going to be there. Wow. That's
exactly.
Really,
yeah. And there are sessions, Gabe, that are board related as well, specifically maybe more so towards the executive committee. But we've got, a number of governance sessions from some really qualified people, both on the sort of the academic side or the GGA partner side, which do this for a living. But we've also got club presidents that are speaking about their relationships that they have with their management team at the club, so that we wanted to get really real with this. And one of the things that we've asked all of our speakers, and we did with you, Gabe, as well, and thank you for presenting at the conference, and your co-author Michael is as well. And by the way, Gabe, just so you know, I've got my Christmas reading all lined up. This is my Christmas break reading.
Awesome.
Is that it was imperative that everybody give a takeaway, like at the end of everybody's session, that they had to give something that somebody could write their 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 things down that they could put into action at their club. That was something that we mandated all of our speakers, and we're pleased that all of them did that as well.
That's fantastic. Yeah, you guys did just a great job of organization. Now, the topics themselves, that came out of the focus group as well?
I think the topics themselves just came out of, a couple of shared glasses of whiskey between Jim and I. Because,
fair enough.
What we wanted to do is make sure that club management component is there. People are going to sort of like, they come for the show and then they're going to stay for, I'm lost on my own analogy here, but the point being that, like, we're going to get that club management stuff, right? And that's really, really important for those middle managers that are still sort of climbing the ladder and trying to find their career trajectory. So that's why we've got, Greg Patterson, who's speaking at the conference. That's why we've got, Michael Crandall speaking at this conference. That's why we've got George Pinches. And, if you look down the list, you'll see a long list of people that you've heard of. But we also wanted to challenge the way club leaders face change and opportunity, given the year that we've just had and the chance that we can sort of, reorient the way that our clubs serve our members. We wanted to bring in some people from outside the club business, right? So we've got Doug Juner, who speaks, he's the managing partner for a company called 4Rev. And he works with big corporations, big enterprises, like telecommunications companies, about how the world is sort of changing beneath their feet and how they can respond to that. And Tiffany Mack Fitzgerald is doing a session called "No One Comes to the Party Uninvited," and she's going to talk about the importance of diversity in clubs, not just from hey, don't we look good, we're diverse, but like this is an opportunity to really bring a solid community together. And so you're going to get what you would expect from a conference, but you're also going to see a lot of things that you wouldn't expect that we definitely feel have a tremendous amount of value to you no matter where you are in your career.
I always love when conferences bring in outside the industry speakers, because sometimes it can be like an echo chamber. Sometimes you go to some of these conferences, I'm not going to name any names, but it's the same old, right? And it's nice to get a different perspective. Those perspectives are so important. And the topics you guys have put together are absolutely fabulous. So I think that's a good segue into, let's talk about some of those speakers. You mentioned a few of them. Can you break a few down for us, Roger?
Yeah, I mean, well, let me just get the lowest hanging fruit. The easiest one to pick here is Gabe, your presentation that you did, and I watched them all before we ingest them into the platform. The one that you did, I'm not shocked, but I was like, wow, that is like loaded with value. Talking about 7 cultural shifts that are happening in the club business. And the beautiful thing about your presentation is that you gave these examples. So it wasn't just this, theoretical conversation, but you were saying like, here's something that I've experienced that was fantastic and it's happening at this club. So thank you so much for setting such a great tone for the conference. And there's a couple others that I think are really interesting from a tactical point of view, right? I mean, a lot of these sessions, you're going to hear people talking about fundamental concepts. But we've also got a few sessions where people show you how to do things. Aaron Lawrence does a great presentation about how to make videos. So can you imagine if you want to be more engaging on social media, or you want to try to harness the power of video, it can be daunting to just turn your camera on and start to talk to an audience that isn't there. But she's going to make it really easy for you to come up with a checklist of how you can make videos, do everything from promote your club to potential membership, potential new members, just promote products in the pro shop that are coming in from a head professional perspective.
Yep. Video is so important. I think we're seeing it in all I know you have a digital agency as well, Roger. All the new platforms are really moving towards video, especially I think TikTok being that big disruptor right now. But everyone's trying to take that cue, right? So YouTube's doing their shorts, fleets on Twitter, stories or something, or reels on Instagram. So everyone is so focused on video. That'll be a great topic. I can't wait to turn into that one for sure. Jim, who else are you excited for?
There's a bunch. We wanted to stick with some of those topics that would be considered sort of the core competencies of learning in club management, especially for that manager who may be trying to get their CCM designation. So, we've got your governance pieces with, George Pitches from GGA Partners. We've got some stuff on nominating committees that we've got a speaker doing. I'm doing a session on nominating committees. We've got a club president who's current club president, who's going to talk about the president GM relationship. We've got a former club president who worked with a disparate board who's going to talk about what do you do when you get that board that just can't come together. So how do you bring them together? So to Roger's point, we wanted real life examples into what you did, Gabe, during your session. We wanted all of our speakers to come to this from what they've done in life, not so much what they've taught in life or seen in life, but what they've actually done. So those examples are real. We've got the guys from Club Benchmarker coming in and doing a session on Club Reserve. There's Lou. He's doing a session on the Club Reserve policy and that process as well. We've got who else we got? We've got IT solutions for a company talking about how to work with your IT provider. Greg Lundmark, who you just passed by, is the former CEO of the Glencoe Club, and Greg's doing 2 sessions for us. One is on how to sell a huge capital project, and Greg probably his career in club management is well over $50 million in club projects at big clubs. And he's also doing a session on how not to get fired. And, and it was a great session because we just presented that as an education piece for the Canadian Society of Club Managers, and 80 club managers across the country watched this last week, and it was really, really well received. And then Greg stuck around. We did it on the Zoom platform, so Greg was able to stick around and answer some questions for folks. So I think we've just got a really, really great, as Roger said, a great diverse community of speakers that will talk to everybody in the club industry. Tom Schellenberg, who you're seeing right there, Tom is the GM at Marine Drive Golf Club. But Tom and his brother Kyle and brother Seaton are also doing a fundraiser called The Weight We Carry. And Roger and I are pleased to announce that
Everest with some big giant load there.
he's got a canoe. Him and his brother portaged canoe to base camp of Everest.
Wow.
And if you know Tom, he's a stud of a club manager and just a stud of an individual. And so they're raising $150,000 to build a shelter in Kathmandu for women's mental health. And so 10% of the proceeds of this conference will be going towards The Weight We Carry. So Tom's doing a session on sort of his 4 principles of life. And then he's also doing a session with his brothers on The Weight We Carry as well. That's and then how do you like that picture of Bob Paley just below Tom with the hair sticking up?
Oh, yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah. Roger, talk about Bob.
Bob Paley is probably at the front runner for nicest person on earth. And he has actually contributed a couple of sessions. We're so grateful to Bob for, taking us behind the scenes about what goes on at his facility. So Bob is the head golf professional at Kananaskis Country Golf Course. If you can imagine the kind of like Rocky Mountain view that they would put on postcards, that'd just be absolutely perfect. Now dropped 36 pristine holes in there. And that's where Bob has been blessed to work for the past 20 years, and he knows it. So he's so generously given us a couple of sessions, one about authenticity, not just your own personal authenticity, but the authenticity of your brand as a club, and how important that is to bring people to you, to draw your community in and strengthen it from within. He does a great session about that. And then he and his wife team up to talk about, the events that they do. It's called creating events that inspire, and just talks about like how much fun that they have, and how when people show up at the club, the steps that they take them through to set them up for a fantastic, phenomenal day, so that like nothing that they do out there is short of exceptional. It's really, really fascinating stuff, and we're really grateful to him. If you go to the Club Innovation Conference.com, clubinnovationconference.com is the website. If you go there, you'll be able to see this long list of speakers, and I hope that that you can see immediately that we've called in all sorts of aspects of the club business. Kevin McLean talking about the mistakes that most wine lists make that you can avoid at your club. Talia Wolf talking about the emotional triggers that are behind people making huge decisions like the one to purchase a membership. There's Kelly Duty talking about the pillars and platforms of effective digital marketing strategies. There's really within this, there's like this micro masterclass of marketing, or there's another micro masterclass of club management that your entire club will benefit from.
I love that you've included a number of female voices in this. I think that's something most conferences miss out on, but I think it's really nice to get perspective from other folks, and especially having some ladies in the business who are really coming up the ranks. Was that something intentional?
Oh yeah, 100%. It was very purposeful. We knew that, like, we know it's the elephant in the room. There's no shame in addressing it, but if you talk to somebody like Shelley McDougall, for example, who's speaking at it, she's doing a session about specifically about women leading in the club business, and that to me is almost like required viewing for anybody who wants to be a leader in the business. It's true. There's certainly some hurdles that women have to, that women face in the club business, and we wanted to make sure that we had a great panel of strong women speaking at this conference with really great advice to give.
It looks like an all-star lineup that you guys have put together, and I really appreciate that. You've got such diversity in this mix. So let's get into the nuts and bolts. If it's happening on January 12th through the 14th. For people who've never attended a virtual conference, how will it work? Will there be some kind of Zoom room? How will this all go down?
Is that one for me, Jim, or for you?
Roger, that one's definitely for you. I may jump in, but that's for you.
All right, so here's how it's going to work. I'm going to take you right from the moment when your club purchases your All Access Pass right up until January the 14th. So the first thing that you do is you go on clubinnovationconference.com, and then you click one of the buttons that'll get you to purchase a pass. And if you use the coupon code PLAYTHROUGH, so PLAYTHRU, you're going to save $200 on your ticket. That's first and foremost, and that's good for everybody at your club. So then everybody will get this invitation that'll have a link. to the conference website. And we'll have a schedule of speakers. So every 30 minutes beginning at 11 o'clock Eastern on January the 12th, 5 conference sessions are going to go live. So you'll be able to set a schedule. You'll be able to create your plan for each of January 12th and 13th and watch as many sessions as you like. But don't worry, this is not your only chance. The recordings are going to be available to you for months and months after the event. So you'll be able to go back, you'll be able to watch one by yourself and then watch it with your team the following week if you want. Or, and this is an interesting case that one club has presented to us, that they can't attend in the middle of the week in January because the club's too busy. But could they do it in April? Sure, absolutely. So you'll be able to really do this conference at your own pace. But then once you've done, the sessions on the 12th and the 13th, we've got some programming that you can then take in-house. So we're going to work to present a bit of a worksheet, a work plan that you can then take to your club and say, this is what we learned over the last couple of days, and this is how we feel that we can implement it. So that third day is designed to be a collaborative session within your club that maybe involves your entire team, you and a select group of managers, maybe you and your board. That's entirely up to you, but we've got a work plan for you to execute on January the 14th.
I love it. So again, if you miss some of the sessions, they'll be available pre-recorded, so folks can then watch those sessions that they missed, or for some reason you've got a fire to put out at your club, which often happens in our business, right? They'll still be waiting for you, so you won't be missing out, which is nice. It's nice, and it's nice to have a historical record of those things just to go back to, and sometimes you want to hear something for the second or third time.
Absolutely, yeah. No, there's no question about that. I mean, yeah, you're the first time you watch it is for inspiration. The second time you watch it is for education, and the third time you watch it is for implementation, right?
Right. And hell, 4th, 5th, 6th time.
Yeah.
What were you going to say, Jim?
The thing I'm really excited about was that third day that Roger touched base on, and that programming that we're going to have available to be able to take some real action out of this conference. And you've gone to many conferences, Gabe, and I have as well. I've left very motivated and I've left enthused, but I'm not sure I've left with any specific actions that I can implement at my club that can actually make a change from what I've learned at the conference. And one of our goals was to make sure that everybody comes out of this thing with developing their own action plan from 1, 2, 3, 4, however many sessions they want to incorporate into it. And one of the things that we're working on with some of our speakers to create a bit of a mastermind group that would continue on afterwards. So if you were to take the governance piece as an example, and if you've got a number of our attendees who are interested in governance, we may get somebody who presented a governance piece to get together with that group on a monthly basis after the conference. So our goal is that this just isn't 3 days and then it shuts off and then hopefully we get you back a year later for 3 days, that this continues on as a learning for a full year afterwards.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I love that. And once again, if folks want to purchase a ticket for themselves or for their club as a whole, as we heard, clubs are bringing up to 20, 30 people of their staff to this all at once. You can do that at clubinnovationconference.com. I've got the website there on the screen if you're watching the live stream. If you're listening to this on Private Club Radio, make sure you follow me over on LinkedIn so you can see some of these live streams as well. In fact, in 2021, the Private Club Radio show will be doing a lot more live streams like this. So it's great to have these two gentlemen on. Guys, thanks for joining me on the show today. Thank you for putting this conference together. Again, nice discount for you if you want to use the code, was it Let's Play? Or play through. Sorry, I don't want to confuse the
No, you got it. It's just play through. So clubinnovationconference.com, click on one of those orange buttons to get my all access pass, and then use the coupon code PLAYTHROUGH and you'll save $200.
That's fantastic. Guys, thanks for joining me today here.
Thank you.
Gabe, thanks, Gabe. Thank you for having us. We appreciate it. Thank you.